together.
This message is brought to you by Nigeria Rebirth Initiative.
Exotic land of rainbow, a giant in the sun, rich in human and natural resources, a land of cultural diversity for tourists' appreciation. Nigeria occupies 923,766 square kilometers, accommodating over 250 indigenous languages. It is a wonderful environment for leisure and business. Nigeria, land of milk and honey, a paradise for tourists.
Gas pipelines are the arteries for powering electricity. When the artery is burst, then the entire system collapses. Vandalizing gas pipelines is
During the week, the media was awash with the brutal killings of other Africans who live and do business in South Africa by South Africans. This is what is called xenophobia. What is it that triggered this kind of behavior? How can it be curtailed? And what are the implications? These and more will form our focus on this week's edition of Panorama, coming to you live from the Lagos Network Center. But first, the news making the rounds. I am Viera Chumoba. President Alassane Ouattara of Côte d'Ivoire has described the smooth political transition in Nigeria as a lesson to all leaders in Africa and the legacy for the entire continent. He stated this during his visit to President Jonathan in the presidential villa. State House correspondent Shegulawale reports.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Welcome. I'm so happy to see you. President Alassane Ouattara, who is on a private visit, congratulated President Jonathan for the successful elections and for conceding victory at the polls. He recalled his victory 5 years ago, in which the then Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo refused to relinquish power, leading the country to civil war, which left 3,000 people killed. President Ouattara described the successful election in Nigeria as a legacy for all Africans and Democrats.
Please accept my admiration. I think avoiding violence, avoiding civil war, when we have elections in Africa, should be our utmost objective. People are more important than power. And Mr. President, my good friend, I'm not surprised by what you did, and I wanted to congratulate you.
He acknowledged President Jonathan's leadership role in ECOWAS and the mediation in various crises in the sub-region.
For us, you are a West African before being a Nigerian, and we thank you for what you did for West Africa. And we also work together to set up the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union, which is an important step, and only West Africa has been able to do this.
The two leaders expressed appreciation for the support and friendship shared over the years.
He came for a private visit, but he's here. He's one of our leaders in the sub-region, good friend of Nigeria.
Alassane Ouattara also congratulated General Muhammadu Buhari for his victory and wished Nigeria a smooth transition. In the State House, Segun Lawole, NTA News.
President-elect General Muhammadu Buhari has given the assurances that from June this year, Nigerians will start witnessing changes in government policies and programs. Muhammadu Buhari reports that the president-elect stated this when he received the delegation led by Governor Kasim Shettima of Borno State, who visited him at his residence in Kaduna.
Surmounted through cooperation.
This is possible, and we will look for the cooperation of our neighbors, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon, so that really we can deal with Boko Haram piecemeal.
General Buhari commended the governor of Borno State, saying despite attacks by insurgents, the state has witnessed remarkable development. He assured the delegation of federal government's assistance.
I congratulate the governor and the leadership for organizing JTF. If not only JTF, I think Boko Haram would have overrun my decree.
Governor Kasim Shettima of Borno State said the visit is to remind the president-elect of their situation.
He is very much familiar with our terrain. He knows our problems, so we need not to overlook issues by dwelling on our problems. Without reestablishing the security of lives and properties of the citizens, very little can take place.
Shehu of Borno, Abubakar Ibn Garba El Kanemi, and chairman of Borno Elders Forum, Usman Gajigal Timari, dwell on the need for the incoming government to assist the state. In Kaduna, Muhammad Lawal Baba, NTA News.
The United States of America has lauded the Nigerian police for its professionalism on the peaceful conduct of the Nigeria's election. U.S. Envoy in Nigeria, James M. Tisdale, visited the force headquarters to convey the feelings of the government to the Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Abba. Bonaventure Wood has the report.
The U.S. envoy said that the successful conduct of the general election, which he said is largely attributed to the efforts of the Nigerian police as the lead agency during the election, speaks volume in the growth of democracy not only in Nigeria but in Africa. He said by the size of the country, it is obvious that the police was overstretched, but displayed wizardry in its organization and coordination to give Nigeria a successful election.
I think in the next year and a half, there's something like 12 or 15 elections in various places across Africa. And I think your example of a credible process with a good transition between winner and loser and all of these things, I think it is...
The success of the police force dates back to early 2013 and the implementation of all the strategies from August 2014, which was mainly focused on changing the mindset of the Nigerian police force to perform their role with professionalism.
What brought us to where we are now was the clear directive to all officers involved in the election to be civil in their performances, to be non-partisan, and to also be impartial. That was what we exhibited, and I'm glad to note that that's what added the greater value to the credibility of the elections.
The IGP commended civil society organizations and their contributions in capacity building and other suggestions. He also said the cooperation they received from the international bodies like UNDP, UK, US, and Norway, among others, contributed a lot. In Abuja, Bonaventure Wood, NTA News.
Newly elected and returning governors have been admonished to respect and obey the Constitution that guides governance, and also release funds appropriated by the judiciary for it to fund, made the appeal at a workshop organized for magistrates by the National Judicial Institute in Abuja. Aliu Tiko has the details.
The workshop is aimed at refocusing the and awakening them to their responsibilities as judicial officers by highlighting the basic principles of judicial ethics vis-a-vis justice. The Chief Justice said financial insecurity is the worst thing that can happen to the judiciary because it exposes the magistrates practices.
I am certain that the elimination of all forms of practice helps in the speedy dispensation of the
As Bozimos said, the workshop will help participants to either acquire or update their knowledge on the use of alternative dispute resolution.
These have become necessary because there have been gradual but frightening deviation from acceptable conduct by magistrates in all parts of Nigeria.
With the team promoting integrity and transparency in the magistrate courts, the workshop on the welfare of the judicial officials in Abuja. Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
The Minister of State Defense, Colonel Augustine Akobundu, has called on the Nigerian Armed Forces to remain loyal to the incoming administration of General Muhammad Buhari. He was at the Defense Headquarters to hold discussions with the Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Badi. Mohammed Abubakar reports.
Colonel Akobundu applauded the role of the Nigerian Armed Forces in keeping the territorial integrity of the country, while tasking them to remain loyal to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He harped on the need to strengthen inter-service cooperation and collaboration.
And I believe the incoming administration, especially headed by one of us, will also be passionate in dealing with all that, to make sure that the armed forces become a more aggressive, more well-built, more funded, more well-equipped and robust force that will deal with all internal security issues.
The Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Badi, assured the new Minister of Cooperation,
we are not loyal to individuals, we are loyal to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We must always remember that.
The visit of the Minister of State Defense to the Defense Headquarters is his first official engagement after his appointment. In Abuja, Muhammad Abdul Kadri, NTA News.
The killings of Nigerians and other African nationals in South Africa has drawn the anger of some Nigerians under the aegis of One Africa Initiative. Ademola Brooklyn Sunday reports that the group touts several South African investments in Abuja.
From MultiChoice Nigeria, owner of DSTV, to MTN, and then to the South African Embassy, the group continued to chant solidarity songs to express their grievances.
This solidarity movement is to demand an immediate stop to the killings of Nigerians and other non-South Africans in South Africa.
Today, Nigerians are experiencing the hardest of times in South Africa.
Their businesses are being looted. For what reason? For the singular fact that they have chosen to live in a country that is different from theirs. Is it an offense?
It was a peaceful protest until security operatives at the South African Embassy attempted to restrain them.
It's our own pain. We have time-tested relations with Nigerians. Yes, of course, a lot of problems are happening on the ground. But we say beyond this, let us remain friends. We are one people.
See our Nigerian police. They are ready to protect these people.
In Abuja, Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
I'm now being joined in the studio by Damilola Akpotere Abudlai. He is a PhD student at the West Waterside University in South Africa. Mr. Damilola, you're welcome to
Thank you so
our
much.
studio.
Thank you so much.
Tell us, what is your experience in South Africa and what is South Africans' attitude towards foreigners?
I think I wouldn't use the word South Africans because that will be generalizing to say, oh, South Africans are committing xenophobic attacks. I'll use the word some South Africans because I have a lot of friends who are South Africans who are very wonderful people. I told someone on Friday, I said my first and the only blender I have was bought for me by a South African. But notwithstanding, we have a few South Africans who are really unfriendly, most especially towards Nigerians, Mozambicans, and people from DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Unfortunately, the xenophobic attack this time around is not restricting them to just 3 nationalities. They are actually against foreigners in their country. And I think xenophobia in South Africa is something that exists even when the media is not reporting it. It happens daily when you see a South African walk into the corner shop owned by a foreigner and pick a pen or pick anything, and then they ask for money and the South African says, no, you are in my country. This is our money. So it's a problem caused by dependent citizens, illiteracy, and citizens who think the government must provide everything for them. Citizens who are not able to work, who feel they should be fed, they should be given bread and pap every day of the week, and then because they've fought appetite system, and now they need to benefit from the economy without working. And
okay,
they see
in other
Africans...
words, the xenophobia has been there. So what triggered off really the current attack?
I think what's the last xenophobic attack that was experienced in South Africa was really minimal. It was in Soweto in January this year. The biggest one was in 2008, but this one was incited by an insightful statement by the Zulu king, and which, according to him, from the report I read this morning, was that it was misquoted by the media. You know, when everything goes wrong, they blame those of us in the media to say, oh, this is what I said. It said it was addressing the police, not addressing the people. But I think one of the problems is that South Africans just wait for the smallest, the tiniest opportunity to go out to the streets, and once they see that opportunity, they are ready to it. Some of them are very, very violent people who would actually stab you just to collect your pen.
So is the South African government up against this attack on foreigners, or what measures do you think the South African government has put in place to curtail? I'm not in South Africa. I left South Africa last 2 weeks. I've been in Nigeria, but I've been communicating with a lot of my friends, both those of them who are South Africans and Nigerians and people from other African countries. And the only thing they've been able to spot out is that the South African government has condemned the act, and that's why the police are actually protecting some citizens, some other African citizens. But the government has not been able to curtail the act itself, and that's why it's spreading. As at the weekend, it was already spreading to Johannesburg, to Alexandra. It started in Durban, but now it's already moving to Joburg gradually. And people are living in fear. You see Nigerians and other African countries moving in group now, having their own arms to protect themselves against this. And if we're not careful, I think the South African government needs to sit down or sit up to stand against this and make the opposition leader. Of any measure that's already been put in place? Apart from condemning the of the EFF, also condemned the act in Alexandra over this week, but that's not enough. You need to, number one of the things I cited out is that what's the punishment for killing people in South Africa? The worst is life imprisonment. The South African Bill of Rights does not allow capital punishment. So if South Africans would rather, some of them would rather kill people to go to jail so that they can get fed in jail than work. I've had cases of people actually infect themselves with HIV virus rather, just to get grant from government. So how do you think the foreigners are coping with this attack? I think the foreigners are living in fear. And like what I said, Nigerians and some people are actually moving in groups and trying, and so, although some South Africans are also protesting and standing against it. I have friends, South African friends, who actually held vigil on Friday in public places to say no to xenophobia. Okay, Mr. Damilola Akwache, thank you for being our guest today. Thank you so much. Moving on now. As the strange killer epidemic had or the Ireli community in Ondo State continues to be a thing of concern, The state government says the latest findings reveal that the outbreak might be connected to methanol kerosene. The State Commissioner of Health, Mr. Dayo Adeyonju, says the interaction with the survivors and families of the victims showed that they consumed the local gin from the same source.
The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Dayo Adeyonju, and his information counterpart, Mr. Kayode Akimade, while giving an update on the Ode-Irele situation, said, through the collaborative efforts of the National Center for Disease Control and the World Health Organization, they have been able to establish that the disease is non-viral.
And that informed our decision to order for toxicology tests, which we believe will give us a clue as to what we are dealing with. But with the informant interview that we had with the families and with even the survivor, it was clear to us that most of them had one thing in common, which is the consumption of a batch of alcohol over the weekend. So they are actually leading us somewhere that this might be a kind of methanol poisoning, but we can't confirm yet until we conclude our toxicology test. Patients no longer want to come to the hospital because of the cultural belief that is being linked with this ailment.
While assuring that the situation is under control, the head commissioner said the fear of the spread of the disease should be completely eliminated as the disease is not contagious. In Akure, Doris Ulumoko, NTA News.
To promote good health care and reduce drug abuse in Nigeria, the Academy of Pharmacy is to introduce new clinical strategies to discourage self-medication among Nigerians. The pharmacists made this known at a media briefing in Lagos. Joy Ken Abakwaya has details.
Over the years, the practice of pharmacy in Nigeria has evolved with significant growth in drug manufacturing and prescription of appropriate drugs for various types of ailments. This has reduced the incidence of buying drugs without prescription except for traditional medicine. To safeguard the health of Nigerians, the pharmacists have engaged in collaborative medication management with other healthcare providers. To further enlighten the public on the dangers of self-medication and the need to consult health experts on suspicion of any ailment, the pharmacists are introducing new clinical strategies through continuous pharmacy and drug training education for pharmacists. This will help to optimize medication-related health outcomes and promote wellness and disease prevention.
Education is not static. It is dynamic. We are discussing how can we satisfy the needs of the populace we are serving through our education. Pharmacy is more clinically oriented now. That means we are more concerned with the patient.
The pharmacists say self-medication and drug abuse have been aggravated by indiscriminate sale of drugs without prescription. This situation is prevalent in motor parks and markets. They, however, say this can be checked through constant training on drug-related issues. Some dangers of self-medication include prolonged resistance to drugs or outright death.
There are emerging concepts and practices in pharmacy, especially in public health. And if we don't train these students very well, they will not be able to practice in the emerging concepts in Nigeria.
Training and retraining of technicians and medical personnel have been identified by pharmacists as key to reducing the menace of self-medication and drug abuse. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakwaya, NTA News.
The Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Ablai Diko Inde, has commended the Apapa Area Command of Customs for their excellent performance, especially in revenue generation and trade facilitation. The Comptroller General gave the commendation during his visit to Customs Command in Lagos. The report. Commending the performance of the officers and men, the Comptroller General applauded them for keying into the strategic changes made by the management of the Nigerian Customs Service. This, he said, has resulted in increase in the revenue generated by the command in the first quarter of this year. He also acknowledged their commitment to trade facilitation and urged the Comptroller of the command and his assistants not to relent in their efforts.
We have done so well with PA. Even though we have some challenges, but I can say today with almost 85% to 90% we have overcome it.
The Customs Boss also visited the Tinkan Island Command and noted the performance of the officers during the just concluded elections. He urged the Customs officers not to relent in their efforts in achieving the federal government's goal of making Nigeria's ports the hub in the region.
How we can ensure compliance, or we can force compliance. If they use the vessels to block revenue leakages, surely the government will have, or the importers or the smugglers will be forced to come and patronize our port.
He informed the officers that the management will continue to build human capacity and provide adequate equipment for them to perform. Suleiman Hashimu, the man who vowed to come to Abuja on foot from Lagos if Buhari wins the presidential election, has successfully fulfilled his vow. The young man arrived in Abuja after 3 weeks of over 700 kilometers of trekking. Hamisu Rogo captures his arrival into the Federal Capital Territory.
To many people, it is the triumph of conviction, the undying spirit of man to fulfill a voluntary pledge. It is the story of Hashimu Suleiman, the man who in the build-up to the 2015 general elections vowed to trek from Lagos to Abuja if General Buhari wins the presidential election. In the end, Buhari wins and Hashimu treks. Hashimu arrived his final stop Monday amid celebration by communities on his path. The celebration and displays border on excitement and adventure rhythm. They all had a happy ending though. In Abuja, Hashimu's status borders on being a celebrity and a royalty. Thousands come out to cheer him. Thousands stood out to watch him. Security details keep eye on him. Traffic was impeded. The atmosphere was carnival-like.
So how does it take? What's the feeling like?
Well, it was so great because people do encourage me, so that makes me give me strength. Okay. My journey was successful. I thank God I arrived Abuja today.
Okay. Do you have any pain, sickness, or anything?
Actually, not at all.
So how do you feel fulfilling this vow?
Actually, by seeing people, I feel so happy.
Standing at this strategic point, let me reflect on what many people are saying. Why, of all the difficult tasks in this world, will this man decide to trek from Lagos down to Abuja just to fulfill a vow? Many people are asking, is this man related to a Fulani? Has he a nomadic instinct?
It's very surprising.
He has taken a vow to do that.
Is that what?
He has taken a vow to do that. That if Buhari wins an election, he was going to do that.
Yeah, that's commitment. And it's highly commendable.
I saw him day before yesterday along Niger State, and I'm proud of that. And I saw him in Abuja today, and the turnout of the people.
Hashimu's train was terminating at APC campaign office in Wuse, where APC women leader was on hand to receive him on behalf of the wife of the president-elect, Haja Aisha Buhari.
It's a sacrifice. It's a voluntary move. We don't even know him.
The celebration of the arrival of Abubakar Hashimu promises to go well into the night. In Abuja, Mohammed Hamish Rogo, NTN.
And that ends Panorama from the Lagos Network Center. Thanks for watching. I'm Viera Chumba. Good afternoon.